Okay, just someone give me a thumbs up when you see it on Facebook, Mimi. It's streaming.
It's on.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thursday night, Shredders Unite Biz Call. I am super, super excited to get back in the hot seat again. Hold on, I'm getting feedback. All right, I think we're good. Sorry about that interruption. I always do that. Technical issues. I don't think I'll ever perfect this. It's been a year and I don't know how long, and I still can't get it right. But I have a change of environment. I'm standing up, so I hope I can think better on my feet than I did sitting down. At the same time, though, I am excited to be back because I think February 2022 is going to be monumental for our ER Shred. And our hopes is that by the end of this month, we will have our own pack called the Shredder Pack, and it will make sharing and paying it forward that much easier. We'll be able to point people directly to the Shredder Pack and choose your flavors. That said, you know, a lot of conversations have been going on, and this is the whole idea is that when we started the ER Shred community, the concept was pretty simple, and that is, how do we honor the John Anderson legacy? How do we get people to come back to have that transformative, aha moment in that we do the 9-day and go, oh my God, I can't believe how good I feel. The other process, which we'll get into with Lenny later on, is what we learned in terms of what built this company, the foundation, as well as what we did later on that kind of worked against us, that is in terms of building our businesses and our momentum. So the goal for these calls on Shredders Unite is simply, we want to inspire and we want to create some motivation for you all to pay it forward. And before I get started, make sure you check out the disclaimers. We're not here to cure, diagnose, or prevent any disease. At the same time, on the earnings disclaimer, please view it. There's no guarantee to the level of earnings you can make. And we'll talk about what's possible, but also hopefully give you some concepts and thoughts and tracks to run on so that you can be successful with this business. And that is determined upon whatever you want it to become. Just some house cleaning things I want to get out. You did get an email the other day. We have changed the language, so we're no longer calling it lifestyle rewards. It's called subscription. Here's the key. Nothing changes. It's just called a subscription. But it is important, though, for you to benefit from the best pricing to make certain that everybody has something in their subscription basket. In other words, when you set them up with something in a subscription. I like to put people on hydrate in the event they forget that they may have had their original ER Shred kit in there, for example. It's not going to be mind-blowing to them if they have a hydrate sent to them. But the goal simply is you want people to understand that they have their own back office account, similar to it, like going on and ordering Amazon products. And you can create your subscription basket, and it's up to them to modify it. Now, a couple changes, that subscription could be either every 30 days, every 60 days, or every 90 days. They give you those choices, which is amazing. All the other rules apply in terms of, you know, it's going to be shipping out the next day and so forth. But one thing I wanted to point out is that if you're doing the business, one of the mainstays of doing the business is for you to be active every single month. So you wouldn't want to select the 60-day or 90-day option. The idea is you want to basically accumulate 100 BV in your own or personal volume in your own account every 30 days. With that said, my thought for tonight is I wanted to kick off February with more of the business mindset. And my goal tonight, and hopefully I communicate this well and I ask the right questions of Lenny, is I want people within our ER Shred community to basically connect the dots. That is, when we created the ER Shred, this is Sean, this is a lot, Sean's thinking, Crystal, and so on. But the simple concept is that how do you really motivate people? And we do that through inspiration. We do that by inspiring others to take action. It's one thing to stand in front of people and say, here's your to-do list, and this is what you need to do. When we come from that standpoint or that stature, we're coming from a concept of compliance. Being compliant or not being and following the rules is rather low vibrating. If you listen to Crystal's call last week, she kind of got into that. The higher vibrating energies are going to be love, gratitude, happiness, excitement, energy, energized, spontaneous. And Lenny is really, really good as our spirit talking about this. But how do we motivate people in the same manner when it comes to the business? Because I'll be honest, I love talking numbers, but talking business and talking numbers is about as boring as it gets. I mean, I would lose the audience immediately. So what is the best way to share is it always has been through stories. So in connecting the dots this evening, what I would like for you all to do is listen to Lenny's story. There are going to be aspects of this story that are going to be something that you can relate to and go, oh my gosh, okay, that sounds like it could be me. You know, what was his mindset when he came to this? What was he looking for? What was his desire initially? How did that change over time? And finally, our group today is we're a little over 24,000. That was a great milestone in the month of January. I know that it would be very easy for us to double that in the next year. Now that sounds like a big number, but that's literally just getting a handful of our core ER shredders. Let's just say we start with the hearts of ER shred, which if Mimi wants to chime in, maybe she can tell me what the number is or somebody might know, but I'm guessing we've got about 30 at least of people who we've nominated as hearts of ER shred. And the concept simply is that when you've been given a gift, the best thing that you can do is to generate gratitude, in my opinion, and you get that by paying it forward, by not being, you know, secretive and saying, I'm not going to tell people how I have more energy or feel great or et cetera, lose weight and so on, but to pay it forward so that other people can feel as good as we do. The beauty of this business model, and this is where I'm going to, and I'll stop here and we'll get Lenny on board, is I want you to think of just two things. I've often said this is the single best investment opportunity I have seen in my lifetime. And there's several levels to that. But one is your health is priceless. You can't put a dollar figure on your health and your wellness. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that if you eliminate the crap that we eat and you put more of the quality nutrition in the body, you're going to feel better. The body heals itself. You're going to be living more of an optimal life. We so happen to have a system that has a 20-year track record, but with the evolution of science and with some trial and error, we've come across the ER shred. It's simpler, it's easier, but it's like putting the old system on steroids. The results are that much more profound. And you can see that in just the people who've been in the community, not just a physical transformation, but their mental transformation, their clarity. Often I would like to say is that ER Shred is basically supporting us to have a transformation with our mind, body, and spirit. But it's kind of out of order. It's more of we come to it because of the body, but then it's our mind, we come alive. And then I believe, in my opinion, we are inspired in spirit within, we want to take action. And that's what this call is about tonight. It's taking action. How do we pay it forward? And how can we improve your life through this financial opportunity? And this is the single best investment I've seen. A, your health is priceless. But number two is you get to do something that has a vision and a purpose, a mission, if you will, that is the best I've ever seen. And as we can help other people with their health and with their wellness. How cool is that? And not only get your products paid for, eat for free, but you potentially have an unlimited income stream. Now, and I'm not here to promote this that, oh my God, you can make something in the area of $60 million the way Jimmy Smith has over his lifetime. By the way, he started at the age of 74. Or it might just be, I want to get my products paid for, but if I could show you a way, which is so easy, that this is it's not even a decision anymore. I got my health, I feel better, it pays for itself, you will never quit. And that's the whole idea. The business is on retention, and it's about keeping your customers happy. If they get the result that they're looking for, they're going to stay with you. So with that said, I want to introduce Lenny Evans. Lenny Evans, we are so lucky to have part of our ER Shred community. As many of you that are in the community that know of Lenny, he is our spirit of ER Shred. That's an honor that Sean came up with, but the board said absolutely. And the reason for that is his energy, his ability to connect, as well as the things he's done it before. I mean, he's literally trained within our fulfillment company at the biggest conventions, our big celebration every year at New Year's kickoff, et cetera. But he's also talked the talk, and that is he's been very successful previously with our old 9-day system. And I'm going to get Lenny to talk about the different aspects so you get to learn about his story, but then we're going to pull out hopefully some golden nuggets that will help you make a determination if this is the right vehicle for you, should you choose to make a difference in your life. And this is where I get excited because in my humble opinion, we have something that is so special, that is so unique, that it needs to be shared with the world. We're only at 24,000 people in our community. That sounds like a big number, but that's a drop in the bucket in terms of what's the potential is. Now it's time to go for it. So Lenny, I want to bring you on. First of all, first question for you is, you were one of our first Isagenix millionaires. To be an Isagenix millionaire means that you've accumulated earnings of $1 million or more. How long ago? What year was that from when you started, and what number were you?
A long time ago. Hi, everybody. Wow. You're going to just need to ask me some questions so I can, because we just covered a lot. We could go like 4 different hours on
I know. I will be more specific. So how I want you to start off, I want to introduce Lenny as a millionaire within Isagenix, just to give you some creds in that you built a successful business and you've done it, but you did it in a very short period of time, in my opinion. And you did it back in the very beginning, more or less. So your Isagenix millionaire number?
36.
36. So that means there were 35 predecessors before you. We all know that Sean's parents, Randy and Tony Escobar, were number 1. So when you became the 36th millionaire in Isagenix, what year was that?
2008.
Okay.
2008. Yeah. 4 years after I joined. So that was pretty remarkable. And then, I started naming, I had millionaires popping up in my organization: Hillary Courtney, Dave MacArthur, Tammy Hess, Emily Vavra. Just started really coming on. And it was really fun for that first initial explosion. It was really cool. Yeah.
So when you had come to Isagenix, and this is our fulfillment company that I'm mentioning, how did you learn about it, and what inspired you? Was it the business or was it the product experience?
It's funny. If I would have known it was network marketing, I never would have joined. I was very much against network marketing. I didn't like it at all. And I just had a couple of bad experiences about network marketing. My dad, dear God, he had his garage full of shit from other network marketing companies like Jimmy Smith a couple times. But I didn't want that. But
now, did you do network? So did you do network marketing? Did you have experience with other companies?
No, none. No, I didn't. I was brand new to network marketing.
So that was your father that had been involved with network marketing.
Yeah, which made me want to stay away from it with a 10-foot pole, man. I see my dad did it, no way, And so I was learning how to become a public speaker in my career when all of a sudden one of my mentors said, "Hey, have you ever done a cleanse?" And that's how I was introduced to the 9-day. And I wasn't looking for anything except for truly to lose about 10 pounds. I thought, man, I've been really trying to do this, lose 10 pounds. I was always the guy in the neighborhood. I'd open up my garage and put, equipment in there and invite my friends over. And we would do the Body for Life workouts, back in 2000. And I could never lose that last 10 pounds. And so when this lady said, "Have you ever cleansed?" I'm like, no, that sounds so retarded. I don't want to cleanse. That sounds like a coffee enema, and I don't want to do a coffee enema. She asked me 3 different times, and on the 3rd time I said I would do it. And that 9-day, Bob, it was so life-changing. I'd never done anything like that before. It was so radical at the time. This is 2004, early 2004. So that's how I got in. And then I didn't want anything to do with the business, and all of a sudden, she's telling me that, I could probably get my shakes paid for, because I told her, look, I'm going to be having these shakes forever. Because I've been going to GNC for about 2 or 3 years getting protein powders. And this was hands down the best shakes I'd ever had. So all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this is that network marketing. Oh, I better take a look at this, you know? So all I really knew that I wanted was more money in the moment. I wanted more money because I wasn't making enough money in my current career, owning a couple of restaurants. I had done so many jobs, Bob, by the way. I had probably 37, 38, 39 jobs by the time I was 45. And then I got Isagenix.
You had success with the restaurant business, though, didn't you?
A little bit, as much as somebody can have in the restaurant business. Ask anyone that's ever owned one. There's 2 really wonderful days. It's like a boat, you know, the day you open it and the day you sell that puppy. And I helped a lot of people sell their restaurants. I probably helped over 300 people. I became almost like a broker of selling restaurants because nobody wanted one after they opened. It was so much work. It was insane. So I wanted out of not having enough money. And all of a sudden I looked at Isagenix and I didn't understand anything about the numbers. You know, I didn't understand anything about all the things you were talking about at the beginning. All I knew is that my attorney who I enrolled, and he and his wife had phenomenal experience on the 9-day. As a couple, they had released 37 pounds. It was remarkable. And in 9 days, and they were like all in. They were in another company called USANA at the time. I didn't know much about it, but they came over. And he said, Lenny, you need to do this. You're so good at this. You'll be making as much as me in a year or two. And I'm like, what? How? Because I said, I looked at the comp plan and it doesn't work. And he goes, oh, you don't understand it. So I took my downline, the guy I signed up, out to lunch, and he showed me how it's actually unlimited income. And I was like, it was so hard for me to get my brain wrapped around it, because this guy right here, and I just want to say this for like 1 minute here, a little plug.
Fine.
He says, T. Harv Eker says, if you want to become rich, and most people want that feeling of, you know, being rich, and he explains how to do it in here, but he says you have to own your own business, and Isagenix qualifies. That business has to have unlimited income potential, and Isagenix does. And then what's the other one here? I have it written down right here. And then here's the thing: you have to do what you love. You have to do what you love. And so you have to find your niche inside Isagenix of how you love what it does, right? We'll get into that later. But the bottom line here is, if you don't love it, it's not going to work out. And then you need to focus on it. And so I did that. I just want to pause, because as soon as I understood how it worked, the geometric progression, I was like, what? It doesn't matter if I even bring the people in. I have to build 2 teams and that's it. I
think we need to talk about that real quickly, because I don't think many people grasp that. I think there's a lot of confusion. Typically, when people hear things about network marketing, they've only heard the bad things. It's bad news sells. If you turn on the TV lately on the news, they're rarely talking about good things happening. It's the bad shit. And that's what gets people's attention. That said, in all industries, all walks of life, there are good and there are bad. And the same thing occurs in our industry. It's just that our fulfillment company, in my opinion, did everything right. It's fair, it's balanced, and everybody has the same opportunity. It's just not the guy or the woman at the top that came in first. That said, you said something very, very important. Now, from an investment standpoint, what I would tell people is that to have a quality investment, there are 2 things. The miracles of finance are leverage and compounding. And you got to have both if you're going to have a successful investment. What you just touched on was the aspect of leverage. And that is, you not only get paid for your efforts in the work that you did, right? You're supporting, you're sharing, you're paying it forward. People are coming in because you're enrolling them. You're getting referral bonuses and so forth, right, for your hard work. But the key is that you get paid on everything that happens on referrals of referrals of referrals, correct?
Amen, brother.
So how long was it before when you recognized that, when you had that light bulb moment, as you said from stage, when you can't sleep at night?
Well, yeah. And so here's the thing, like, that's what happened to me. Like that night, Doug, my attorney, taught me that. I went home, the whole way home, I listened to the comp plan. I went home, I watched it one more time from Kathy Coover, and I was like, oh my God. And that night, I didn't sleep. And I always told people, look, until you have that night where you see what this actually is, then you don't have the excitement level yet. You know, I remember I would teach everybody, and Dave MacArthur would pull over and I got it. Oh my gosh, it's the geometric. Jimmy Smith said it was the ninth wonder of the world. And we have to, you know, everybody has to be on their own journey about understanding the words unlimited income potential. And because most network marketing companies don't have that, I have become a student of every other comp plan out there. I have searched them. I've looked at them. I know what we have. I've been doing this for 18 years. I've never missed a paycheck on a Monday. And this company is strong that way, right? And so I just, when you say that, you guys, everybody deserves to understand how it actually happens and how it multiplies, and how then after the multiplication happens, then it maxes out, and then we get a re-entry above ourselves, and again and again and again, and there's no end to re-entry. That is one of the most remarkable things. I have so many friends that are on their second and third re-entries. Like it's remarkable that the company allows us to continue to grow. And no other job that I ever had out of my 37 jobs was ever unlimited income. I was a high school teacher. I did so many jobs, and I was always, if you're trading your time, that is not unlimited income potential. If you're using your time and getting paid by the hour, or you're coin operated in any way. So this is why it's so exciting, you guys. We have something attached to this ER Shred, the best results driven protocol in the history of the world. And that, when people come alive, it's on. Like, I finally am getting it again. You know, Sean has been really helping me, and Bob has been helping me, and Jesse's been helping me, and all of the Shredder community has been helping me relearn and understand what network marketing is, because it's never bait and switch. And if you ever consider it bait and switch, you're doing it wrong. And bait and switch is how I got invited to a barbecue in 2001. And I went to the barbecue. No shit. They tried to sell me some soap, and it was an Amway secret barbecue. And I was like, ew, get that off of me right now. So it can't be bait and switch. And so that's, I think, part of the success of us too, is, you know, it depends on what you're talking about, but don't invite somebody to the Wednesday night come alive call maybe, and just say, hey, this is how we're going to make money. Watch this. This is how you're going to come alive, you guys. This is how you're going to come alive physically. That's a physical freedom day that we provide. Now it's another conversation to have a financial freedom day. And that's what we want for everyone in our community, you know, Bob?
Exactly. I just wanted to pause right there. I did talk with Sean today. I talked to him about once a week, and it happened to be today. He texted me, Lenny, as soon as you and I got off. And I shared with him what you and I talked about. And just, again, how do we motivate and inspire? And this is the cool part. When we look at what we did with ER Shred for the first year, we did it with the intention of changing lives. And it was truly a proof of concept. Can we grow this? And can we make such a profound difference from a health perspective on individuals that they stick with it? Now, what I can tell you is that had we come to this as a business opportunity, 50-50, it's a business opportunity and we're going to change your health, we wouldn't have had that proof of concept, because we wouldn't know what your true motivation was. Was it the money that motivated you, or was it the actual product itself? So when you look at what happened by mistake, that first 12 months was all about empowering you as an individual, which is kind of scary. There's not another company in the world that does this. We say, do this for 11 days. And then from that point on, it is 100% up to you. You decide what you want to do. We're not going to tell you what to do. We will share what we do, but people gravitate to the results. And this is the thing that I know, Lenny, I mean, it was hard back when we had the original 9-day. It didn't taste as good, number one, but it was kind of it was all on coaching to get people over that 2-day cleanse, correct?
Here's why I loved the 9-day and why I'm in love with the 11-day. This is a secret. This is why you got on tonight to watch this. This is why. Because the 9-day, the original 9-day, was the great separator of humans. The wimps from the studs. Like literally, like if you couldn't handle the 9-day, you were never going to do this business anyway. Like a 9-day, come on, people. So the 9-day was a secret weapon. It got rid of it, kind of sifted. It was a great sifter, the 9-day was, because people come out of there on fire like me. And they're like, dude, I'm like, dude, chest bumping. And they just inspired themselves. There's no more I love the idea that when they come alive, it is game on, and so with the 9-day, you know what? Do I really have to, do I eat these wafers? No, I said, suck on them. Just suck on them. I don't know, if they didn't make it through that 9-day, I left a lot of carnage behind in my original build because it was all only 9-day, but it was such a blessing because out of the people that finished it, they literally were, whoa, I don't ever want to be up these shakes, not ever. And so, but I want this too, Bob, ask me what I'm passionate about.
That's a loaded question. What are you passionate about?
Because I got to answer this on Crystal Escobar's podcast yesterday, and I'm so excited because Sean always asks the question on his things, and I love it. I've never been asked the question, so thank you for asking.
Well, let me rephrase it before you go there. Has your passion changed from the original 9-day to the 11-day ER shred? Is it a difference? Or is it two different passions?
Has my passion changed from the 9-day to the 11-day?
Yeah, I mean, you different now. What you're passionate about today might be different than what you were passionate about when you first started the 9-day. I'm just asking, is there a difference?
Yeah, there's a huge difference. But hold on. That's a whole different tangent for a second. Because what I'm passionate about is having my own aha moment. That's what I've studied hundreds and hundreds of books. I live for the aha moment. And my second favorite thing that I'm passionate about is helping people have their own aha moment and witnessing it. It's what drives me. I love it when people get an aha. And the 11-day ER shred protocol, you guys, all you have to do is follow the protocol and you're having the experience. You cannot help it. If you follow the protocol, you'll have the experience, right? And so I think that aha alone is worth its weight. And then there's more conversations down the road. There's so many more conversations down the road because Isagenix is a personal growth journey with a compensation plan attached. It really is. We're learning to be better humans, and we actually have the ability to possibly, have that become a business. It doesn't have to. But I do want to say one thing real quick. I was gifted to have two really powerful mentors in Isagenix, Jimmy Smith and Tony Escobar too. This moment wasn't about Tony, but it was about Don Nooner and about Jimmy Smith. And I was just getting ready to sell my restaurants. I was so scared because I wasn't cycling quite enough. But I asked them, what would the biggest tip be for me, Lenny Evans, to go big into Isagenix? And this is in 2006. And they both looked at me and they said, focus and burn your boats, burn your bridges. Don't do other things. And T. Harv Eker in this book explains when you have your energy going in one direction and another job and another job and another direction, you dissipate your energy. Energy is this very precious thing. And so when you focus, that's what I did. I focused. I decided to only focus on Isagenix, and I had to only focus on the 9-day, Bob. And that was the gift. That right there. I swear I'm an accidental millionaire. Because
that's the secret. That is the secret. Because I can tell you from my previous career as an investment money manager, I started out as a stockbroker. The question is, what are you going to do? When I was at Smith Barney, it was, do you sell mutual funds? Do you sell government bonds? Do you sell municipal bonds? Do you sell stocks? Do you sell options, derivatives? In other words, I got recruited by Bear Stearns. I go to Bear Stearns and they say, you have to specialize in not just an industry, derivatives, bonds, which is fixed income, or equities, stocks. But then you have to specialize specifically in an industry. So I'm going to do stocks, but that's great. What industry? And I was lucky in that everything was taken, except for 1986. There was nobody that was promoting technology stocks. So that's how I got lucky. I mean, it's purely luck. But because of that, I became the hedge fund expert to basically advise on all the tech stocks. So all I had to do was pick best of breed. But that was my success. But the level of success you can have by focusing on one thing versus doing a little bit of everything. Imagine if you came to me and what day am I selling bonds or mutual funds or tax-free bonds or equities? I'm all over the map. I'm scattered. My attention's scattered. But because I was focused on one thing, that was truly the main reason for the success.
Yeah, you think about it for a second. You know, when you're going to go buy a house, let's say you saved up enough money to make an investment and own like an Airbnb or a second house or something, and you're going to pick your real estate agent. Do you want the one that does it part-time and has 2 other network marketing companies and they're scattered all over the place? Or do you want the one that's freaking full-time and knows every listing on that market? And you know what I mean? Like, that's who you want. You don't want the real estate agent that's part-time. Why would you do that? You know, like that is doing yourself a disservice. And so it's like this focus though, man, you guys, we have a gift right now with the ER shred, because the more we focus on the 11-day ER shred and we do it the way we love, and that's another Zoom for another time. Bob and I were talking about that earlier, that we're gonna bring up some of these principles, but how to tap into and know right away what you love, because doing it the way you love is super important. And so like, you know, I have people on my team, for example, like Dave MacArthur, that he loved doing expos. He probably did about 300 expos. That's how he maxed out his first center. He found people and they populated. He kept doing expos and he just became great at it. Another one, Casey, she loves to do retreats, and she started finding people and she would do these retreats. Everybody does it a little bit differently, but what if you love golf, but you're not the greatest golfer? What if you start helping golfers know how you know, how great this is, and how, you know, I'm just saying, like, when you find out the way you love, you focus, you get more enthusiasm. And T. Harv Eker, I just want to say this. He says that enthusiasm alone is the single greatest sales force in existence on earth, is enthusiasm. And if you do too many things at the same time, you dissipate it. And so we have a chance here where we have a committed group of people helping us get people on the shred. Now, it's great that this group has 24,000 people in it, but what matters is that you have 40 more in 6 months in your team. If you, and that's how this happens. That's the coolest part.
So let's go back to how you started. Now, this is the point. I know you're going to say this, but you got shot out of a cannon when you did the original 9-day. We all had that, oh my God, something's different feeling after we got through the initial 9-day, and many of us did 2 back-to-back 9 days, because it's how they would set us up. Because to get a month's worth of product, if you got 2 9-day kits, that was 22 days. And the idea was to start out with a minimum of 2 9 days or maybe 3. But that said, for everybody who did a back-to-back 9-day back then, they were around 10, 15 years later. They're still on the product because of that transformation, that experience. When you started with ER Shred, I think you came up with the term "come alive." I mean, you said I came alive. You got shot out of a cannon. I would just say we got shot out of a bigger cannon, because for me, it took me to a higher level than I ever imagined was possible in terms of my health or how I felt. You had a similar situation. I think we all had that with ER Shred, but that's what got you passionate again. Is that what is it? There's 2 questions here. One is, what got your passion going again? And then tell people, when you first started, when you were just sharing the 9-day with focus, how that built for you. What did that look like?
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, first of all, you know, to be honest, I really only ever worked Isagenix for 1 year. Really like focused. And, you know, I called a lot of people. I didn't call as many people as I wanted to. I didn't connect with that many people, but I did connect. And I have the numbers written down somewhere, but I connected with like 252 people. 200 people said no. 52 people said yes to the 9-day in a calendar year. And then I remember being on the podcast a long time ago with Stephen Covey, and he goes, dude, 52, that's how many cards are in a deck. I'm like, yeah. He goes, and you got 4 aces? I'm like, oh my God. And that's what happened. In the early days, I had 2 rock star aces on my right and 2 rock star aces on my left. And it just took off. And it was like, wow, man, it was so cool. Like how it could happen. Like I was in disbelief, you know, and quite frankly, I had never managed my money and I wasn't quite ready for it. And I don't really want to get into that so much right now, but man, all of a sudden, man, I was making like rock star money.
So
And
when you had when you called the 252 people, what was your conversation? What was it that you said to them that got your 52 yeses?
I pretty much just said, hey, listen, man, I just did a program. It blew my mind. I released and it was back then, it was like, whatever it was like 9 pounds and, 4.5 inches on my waist on my 9-day. And I said, it's crazy. I'm not even craving Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, or chocolate chip cookies. And people that knew me knew that I lived on Mountain Dew, Dr. Pepper, and chocolate chip cookies back then. So that it was a real simple thing. I'm like, you should check this out, man. And it was more like it was all about health. It was all about, but then I realized what was happening, and it was making people a better version of themselves. And that's when I was like, oh my God, everybody's going to want to do this at some point, And so that's what happened in that first year. And then I think it was the very first celebration. I was in about a year. I was all excited. I was like seeing the potential. And all of a sudden, I go to a celebration, and Kathy and Jim Coover and John Anderson introduce Cheryl Ladd, one of the Charlie's Angels. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, one of the Charlie's Angels. Like, I watched that. I was in love with every one of the Charlie's, but it's like her. And I was like, what are they going to do? And they launched the skincare, and it was called Isagenix. And I was like, wow. And the question became, who do you know that has skin? I'm like, who do you know that has skin? Holy, I got for about a week or two, I was like a deer in the headlights. I was so confused. And I even got to talk to Jim Coover about it. And he goes, Lenny, remember, a confused mind stops. I said, I'm confused. He goes, what made you successful? I said, the 9-day. He goes, run with it. So I love that about our company. They let us go any way we want. But man, luckily I went back to that 9-day until I went to the 30-day and President's Packs, and I started losing the crazy cool results. And if you lose crazy cool results, people start looking at other network marketing companies. It's all about the crazy cool results. And that's why I want to go back, and I'm going to pause that and say this, Bob. I want to have another Zoom about the Penny app, because I am a believer in the Penny app for the ER shred. And I'll tell you why. Because it accesses every single person in your downline ever. And anyone that's ordered, it shows you what they ordered 25 days ago. And you can just make the best relationships with people. And it's an individual thing. But how about going back to some old timers and saying, hey, do you remember the genius of John Anderson? The 9-day? Dude, guess what? It got better. You have to try it. Just that. Having people know that, gosh, you know what Sean and Crystal really did is they brought the genius of John Anderson, and they mixed in some of the genius of Dr. Plant, and they kept the genius of Tony Escobar, and now we have some genius of Peter Greenlaw, and voila, and now we have the genius of Jesse. And I mean, it's like, what else do we need? We have the results now.
You said something that was really interesting earlier, and that is, what are you passionate about? One. And this is the funny thing. You talked about your energy, and that is, when you're excited, that's the number one thing that that allows people to buy from you. It's your excitement. It's your energy, right?
Enthusiasm.
So your enthusiasm. Okay. So it's enthusiasm. This is what I find interesting, is that I was talking to Colin Greenlaw today. This is Peter Greenlaw's son. Everybody who remembers knows Colin Greenlaw. Great guy. He's my buddy. We build together, which is a lot of fun. But this is the thing. So he was brought up, obviously, by dad doing nothing but, the 9-day, and then 2 9-days combined, as we refer to it as race to maintenance. But he's doing it the traditional way, 400 to 600 calorie meal, or you can divide it into 2 smaller meals, right? It's a little bit harder to do it that way versus ER shred. You can eat as much red meat as you want. How much can you eat? Eat as much as you want, knock yourself out. The funny thing is that I would argue it's not the protocol change, because we offer both. Hey, there's the old way of doing it. There's the new way. Well, tell me about what the new way is. You get to eat as much as you want. It's the energy and the enthusiasm in which how we share, that 70 to 80% of the people that Colin gives them the choice, 50-50, hey, you can do it either way. I'll support you either way. What do you want? They choose ER shred. And I'm going to argue that they do it because his enthusiasm and his energy is different around the ER shred. That's my guess. It isn't. I think telling a guy that he can eat as much steak as he wants, I mean, that's a pretty good thing too. But that's the funny thing is we're not. I think we can offer people the choice, but the focus is that if you can build your business with one thing and not complicate it, that's going to further your success. That's what I'm hearing from you, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and results, just nothing can trump this. Like what we were able to do is that the one downfall of the 9-day. I even owned 3 restaurants at the time. I first got into Isagenix, and I would give out a free. I called it the third day meal because we started people right into the 2-day cleanse, and then on their 3rd day they wake up, have a shake, and they needed a meal, and so I provided a meal for free for all those people at my restaurant, but it wouldn't even be approved on the 11-day ER shred. So, but here's the funny part is that was the only problem inside the old protocol is we allowed them way too much leeway when it came to what they could eat. And there's way too many chemicals, toxins, and culprits out there where if they did have success on the 9-day, and there was a bunch of us, we're all still around, by the way, in this company. All of us that originally had success on that 9-day, I'd say like 80% built this company, and we're all still here. And that's a beautiful thing right there. No question about it.
Without going too much in depth about it, but what you probably can say is that the people who came in later on in later years, either be it on the 30-day or the President's Pack, the larger pack, did they stick the same way?
Well, this is great. Thank you for letting me unpack this. What happened is that I got all confused because we started offering so many different things, and I was sincerely confused, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting any more like duplication in my business. It came to a stall, my business. I wasn't really working. I would work it and I wouldn't work it a little bit here and there. But then one of my dearest friends helped me see that that we were getting so complicated. And so he invented something called the Forever Pack, Dave MacArthur, and I love him and I honor him and I love the Forever Pack. The Forever Pack was 2 things. It was just shakes and isogenesis. And it was a really awesome thing because I'll be honest with you, there are 90-year-olds that we might meet that the shred might be a little bit like, what? And the Forever Pack might be like, yeah, like for a 90-year-old, like, what do you, if everybody in every hospital room had the Forever Pack right now, it'd be a blessing, So it's so simple though, don't forget. But then I was doing that. And again, the results were good. They were amazing on the Forever Pack even. But then I saw Sean and Crystal personally, and then I was like, what happened to them? Like, it freaked me out. Like, I was like, what? And I called Sean, like, dude. And so anyway, I did it. And it was like, wow, it was better than the 9-day. And I did 2 of them back to back. It was so fun, And so what I decided to do, but what I want to say to you is I don't want to miss this little piece here. I did come up with a really cool little slogan, if you will, back in the day, which I did, and my whole team embraced it. We even wore badges, and it said "Got Gaps." And the whole idea was that I came up with was GAPS. Do you have gaps? Got gaps? And I said, hey, and we came up with this little survey. It took 60 seconds to do the survey. We'd ask permission at conventions, at the expos, and say, hey, do you mind if we take a quick gap survey? It'll take about 30, 45 seconds. People go, sure. And I would just throw it out there. And everybody had to memorize this, but it was on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is your health? And they'd say 10. And then I'd say, on that same scale, where are you? And they would say 4. I'm like, okay. On a financial gap, and a 10 being you have all the money you could ever need. How important is money? 10. Where are you? Like 1. And then I would do a time freedom question. Where are you on in the importance of having control of your time, and where are you? And I would say, so it looks like you have a few gaps. Would you be willing to take a look at something that could close 1 or all 3 of those gaps? And that is literally what we were saying to everybody. And we had something powerful because, man, that 9-day just freaking delivered. I just had to show the picture of Peter Ullman, the incredible shrinking Peter. Remember? It was genius.
Peter.
Wow. So, but I just want to say that because of the genius of the 9-day, that's how I built my initial dynasty, my initial team. And it's not until the ER shred that I found my way back to both simple and ridiculous results, ridiculous results that we deliver. I am blown away every single time. I couldn't make the last night call because I was on another Zoom, the Come Alive call, but I watched it today, the first 3 or 4, and oh my gosh, every one of them, every time. I don't know these people. I'm like, what? That's better than the original 9-day that I was freaking out about. So as we focus on this, we focus on these results, we are going to generate our own enthusiasm and passion for this. And that's really important, because if we're thinking about, should I do Celatois? Should I do collagen? Should I do greens? Should I do ionics? Dude, I do it all. But I only talk to people about the ER Shred. Why? Because when they have a come alive moment, customers for life. And here's the thing. And I want to say what I learned from Jeffrey Gitomer. He said, what's the purpose of a business? What's the purpose of a business? And it's not to make money. It's to get and keep customers. That's what he said. And so it's like, you guys, man, once you have somebody have that come alive, they're never going to not go on it. They're going to have incubated shakes probably for the next 3 years. And they're going to have.
We're thinking alike. And I loved how you just phrased that. And I was just going to say, the success in this industry or any business is customer retention. What has your retention been in terms of ER Shred versus the way it was in the earlier years?
It's amazing. You know what? That's amazing. Anyone that's done the Shred they're just in it and they're doing it, and it's amazing. And I have been increasing my cycles personally by just using the Penny app to go back into my existing organization, and just I can message people and I go, hey, you know, and when I bring up the ER Shred again, because it's that results that they come alive, and then we give them a free elimination diet to boot. It's like worth $5,000. and then they have their life ahead of them, and then they can add little foods back in and see what they love and what they don't love. And we just gifted them that. Now there's another conversation always, right? Because that's a physical freedom. I wrote this little triangle. You know, I think about that with my little gaps. If you look at that, I don't know if you can really see that, but it's an upside down triangle. Physical freedom day. And then we have financial freedom day, which, you know, is a whole nother thing. But then we have the time freedom day. And that's a big thing. That's what leverage provides us. That's the holy grail. The holy grail is leverage. And that is what Isagenix can deliver you at a level that you've never experienced before. You cannot find it. I remember one of my mentors, I was asking him, how many restaurants, dear God, do I have to open before I get leverage? I thought I was going to lose my mind. I lost all of my hair. And it all became out because I opened, oh my God, so many restaurants, and they're all these teenagers, and nothing against teenagers, but I'd rather they be in your home, you know, like instead of working for me at the time, like I thought I was going to lose it. And he said, no, Lenny, as soon as you get, and he had 27 Taco Bells, but he said, as soon as I got to about 17, my life changed. I'm like, what? So he had to get to about 17 Taco Bells to get any kind of leverage where he could step away and pay some good money to managers that work to steal from you and leave you. You have to pay them really well. Like an In-N-Out manager makes about $300,000 because that's how much they pay them, because they're making so much money, right? But still, you know, that's a key man. So, but I never could find it. And so once I finally understood what was the generational foundational compensation plan of Isagenix, I was like, whoa, I'm finally going to have leverage for the first time in my life. That's how I'm going to do it. What? And winning the money game is not that difficult, you guys. I want to say something real quick about T. Harv Eker and encouraging us to read that at some point and maybe do this more often on T. Harv Eker. But he says simply, you guys, winning the money game is when you have at least one passive income stream, one. And that passive income stream consistently pays for your life, your necessities, and you know, all the different categories of money, right? And so, and it doesn't have to be that much. I mean, I've learned how to live on, pretty awesome little budget here, and it's amazing what can happen. So winning the money game is having an income stream that pays for your life. What? You guys, we could do that with this ER Shred like I've never seen in my life. Never. Even with the old 9-day, which was awesome. I remember even one time Jimmy Smith decided that after Isa the Lights launched, he wanted to just do nothing but tell people about chocolate. That's all he did. And he had the whole PowerPoint, how you could max out and you never had to do anything and he would always carry chocolates around and hand out chocolates and people go, oh, it's good. And then they order chocolates and he never even talked about it. I'm like, what? But that was after he'd already maxed out. What? On the 9-day. Don't forget, all these people are so excited about how they became so successful. But man, it was those results in the early days, Bob, right?
The key to this business is it's results driven. I mean, you've heard it from Peter Greenlaw, you've heard it from Sean, Tony, Randy Escobar, Crystal, from all of us. What motivates us, what drives us, it's our results, but it's also our feelings. It's our emotions. And that's what, when you say come alive, when people come alive, we're changing their emotional blueprint.
Yeah, I'm gonna rip on that
for a second
because that's really good how you just brought that up, and it's the gratitude. See, so what I'm passionate about, I said, is having my own aha moment. Aha, that's what it is. It's an aha, like I've been having so many, and the ER shred helped ignite that. It fixed my brain after a long time, man. And ahas are really critical, and I'm so grateful for them because I thought a certain way. And I had an old program, and then I somehow discovered, aha, that was wrong. Oh my God. And that's so cool. And then helping other people have their own aha, just pointing them in the direction of the 11-day ER shred. And then having them have their own aha, and then they're grateful to you. Remember, that's what we talked about last time. I'm so grateful for figuring it out, for finding something that worked. And I'm so grateful when they have their own aha. But then the weird thing is they become grateful for me. It's the coolest infinity loop of gratitude, right? And so, yes, that's what drives us, but it's our confidence. And I want to say something about confidence right now because T. Harv Eker, I've been studying with him, and the word confidence in Latin comes from confidere, okay? Confidere. And confidere simply means to trust, not some outer power. You don't trust something outside of you. It just means to trust you. You guys, we can trust ourselves because we've already done the 11-day shreds by becoming heroes. And now we have this confidence that we know that we really believe. You either believe this or you don't believe this. If you believe that the 11-day ER shred protocol will make of any person, man or woman, a better version of themselves, if you believe that, dude, you guys have all the confidence right there. That's what you've been waiting for. That's what you've been waiting for to take action, is confidence in who? Yourself. That's what confidere means, confidence in oneself. And the ER shred, it gives it to it by just the fact that you do the protocol. And the more times you do it, the more you love it. And so that's really good, Bob.
So
that's
you mentioned we talked about retention. And I think you said that the retention with ER shred, what we're seeing is far superior than anything we've ever seen before, even with the old 9-day. The reason why, partly why I think that is that you truly, truly come alive with the ER shred, but you're also for the very first time gaining 100% control on what you fuel your body with. Meaning that because of the elimination aspect of this, we break that carbohydrate addiction for the first time. Because when we're asking people in the old days to do a balance of carbs, fats, and proteins, you never break that addiction of the carbohydrates. That's the evil. That's the slippery slope with the sugars, the processed foods, the crackers, the snacks, etc. So that's what I'm excited about from the business opportunity today, is that we've proven proof of concept in the last 13 months. People are sticking to this because of the results, and the retention is out of this world, one. But number two, the numbers. The numbers are simply, you want to share this, pay it forward, but you want them to have, as you said, their own aha moment, but you want them to have that physical, emotional, spiritual transformation, whereas they're going to stay on the product. Now, if everybody that you ever shared this with over the last 20 years, if the majority of them were still on the product today, where would your business be?
Yeah, it would be out of sight, but that didn't happen for me.
That didn't happen. But going forward, though, with the ER shred, this is what I'm trying to communicate. It is not only infinitely easier to share because it's simple, but the results are so mind-boggling that the majority of people are going to stick with it. So if you share with two people and you teach them to do the same thing, and we got everybody on the team sharing, paying it forward, not necessarily having to share it with 500 people in their first year, but maybe they share it with 50 people and 10 people say yes, those 10 stick, and so on and so on. My point being is that it doesn't take a lot. It takes a little bit initially, a lot of energy early on of getting your team motivated and going in the right direction. But when you started to see the money come in your organization and what it meant, and you started to see that business model literally come alive. In other words, you looked at it and going, oh my God, it has unlimited income. But when you started living that opportunity as, holy shit, it really is unlimited income. And you mentioned you made $1 million in your first 4 years. Well, I know that it wasn't 250,000 each year made up $1 million. Probably the majority came in that last fourth year from your work that happened in year 1, in year 2, year 3. It was probably, it's going on a progression. Your income was greater in the fourth year than it was in the first 3 years, correct?
Yeah, that's part of the model. That's all part of the model.
The model.
This is really good. Let me
Hey,
take
Bob.
off on it for a second, because this is so important. This bait and switch thing.
Okay. Can I hijack your Zoom for just a second? I've had my hand up forever.
Go.
I'm
I'm
about
sorry.
to explode because the aha moments keep coming, and this energy, I love it. So I could listen to Lenny all day. I appreciate you like you don't even know, brother.
Thank you, man.
So I just had lots of aha moments, but I just wanted to touch on a couple things that that I see. You know, results are retention, no doubt. Results are retention, and the results that we're getting, unlike, you know, I did 9-day way back. I was 100-pound club in 2012, and the first time I did 9-day was I released 21 pounds. It was pretty miraculous for me.
Wow.
You know, it was life-changing for sure. But doing it now, my results aren't just weight loss. Like, I'm not a fat guy trying to lose weight anymore. My vibration is so high when I do an 11-day now that I attract so much greatness into my life everywhere I go, right? That's the results. So we're not getting weight loss results. We're not getting fitness goal results. We've taken it way beyond the ISO body. I mean, the spirit, the mind, the body, everything coming together in this massive explosion. Like the fact that I had to unmute myself. I didn't really care whether you liked it or not, because I was just so psyched. I had to say something. So, and then the other thing that I wanted to touch on was this simplicity piece, right? And just real quick, little background. I've got 175,000 people. Half of Australia is in my power leg, including David and Irene and Peter Kelly and all the rock stars on the west side. And so I have the ability to look down in my back office and see all the magic happen, right? And I'm not quite there yet. I plan on it this year, but now that I have this tool in my tool belt, but when I look down, I see personally enrolled, and I see the same BV, boom, 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 every enrollment, boom, 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 boom. So whoever I'm looking at, I see that they're enrolling the same pack, and then once in a while, an enrollment will come through and the number's different, right? Once in a while. But the majority of them, 90% of them, are consistently the same, because they know that the way to run, and I mean run, is if you're sharing simplicity, if you're just going for the maximum result, not trying to fill a shopping cart with a bunch of products. And we have the best pack in the entire business, right, with ER Shred. So that, anyway, I was about to explode. I had to say it. I was either going to run through the house and yell it to my wife and the kids, or I had to get on here for a second. So
So
I love you guys. Thank you, Bob, and
thank
you, Lenny.
you, Jason. Hey, I do want to say something though, because this is the leverage. This is really the leverage aspect of the business model. You're lucky enough that you've been in it for a long period of time, that somebody on your team got Australia started. And so you said a lot of Australia is down below. As you said, you're one power leg. Now, for everybody doing this business, you're required to build 2 teams. Here's the leverage. When you first come in, when you have 300 business volume collected, matching up with 600 business volume on the other side, then you cycle for $54. But in the example of what you just shared with us, Jason, is that every time you put somebody on your minor leg, not the Australia team, but the minor team leg, every time you hit 300 BV, not 300 plus 600 is 900, you're getting that same $54. So what happens is you go from basically 6% to an 18% return. Your leverage is 3 times that, because your one leg is already built.
Correct.
That now you're making 3 times for the same amount of effort. And so for you, you're in a really huge golden opportunity to explode your business, because you just got to play catch up if you can. That's the fun
I'm building
part.
a re-entry as my first position, which is great.
But not everybody has it. I don't have that. I'm not blessed that way. There's a little bit of luck with this business model, because you don't know who the firecrackers that might be that fall in below you. But as Lenny said, he got 2 superstars on each leg, and that ignited his business. And not everybody is going to be a superstar. But what I get excited about with ER Shred is the one thing you mentioned, Jason, is that because of the extraordinary results, because we're at a whole new level of health, wellness, mind, body, spirit transformation, people are sticking with it longer than I've ever seen. And we're not seeing people fall off. We're not seeing people fall back into their old habits. As such, I think it's going to grow even faster than it has in the past, because your retention is going to go way up. But and we'll get into different aspects of the actual business model. But yeah, you're in the catbird seat. And that's kind of what Lenny was getting at, is that if you get the point, the real money, you're like, oh, wow, someone took them 10 years to make $1 million, but then it only took them another 2 years to make the second $1 million. How in the hell did that happen? It's because of what you just have right there. They only had to build a reentry leg, which means they're only building 1 leg, because their original business center becomes 1 leg. Now they only have to build the minor leg, and they get the same benefit. We'll talk about that later. Maybe we can point.
That's a whole nother.
Maybe we can point people.
Yeah, I think that's a whole nother conversation,
another
a little
call.
deeper. But Jason, you're a stud, dude. I love it. You're gonna rock this. And I want to say too, how you come in is how you bring in. Don't ever forget that. That's why Jason's seeing the same BV, the same BV, the same BV, because he's doing it right. That's a clue. And that's what you want in your organization. You want people to just stay with the same thing, as much as possible. So I recommend the moment, and I hope this message can get to Sean, and maybe the board will consider this, but the moment the shredder pack is available through our back office, that we've been working on for so long, we all order one, because what you order, and then you get to see the experience of what it's like when you first order a shredder pack. Like, oh my God. And then everyone's going to continue to order that, right? But we got to order it in order to know what it feels like to get one. So I think that's a really important thing. But Jason, you're doing awesome. And I want to say something too. You were at the right time, at the right place, and you said yes at the right moment. And then some really cool things happened underneath you. Good on you, man. That's your team. You can reach out to them on Penny and congratulate them. You built everybody builds 2 legs in this business. There's no free rides. And that's like 1 leg. That's a fallacy. And that's a bait and switch, right there. So we don't want to ever do that. We want to just say, hey, you got to work, both these legs. There is some work involved for sure. It's not net play marketing, right? It's network marketing, right? But at the same time, the ER Shred is flipping the pyramid upside down finally. And what we're doing is we're just helping people become better versions of themselves. And let me say this, with the 9-day, my numbers were 1 out of every 12 got so fired up, they rocked the business. That was with the 9-day. I would venture to say, I don't know that we know these numbers yet, but I know that, you know, we can gather these numbers with all the people that know. And that is, I bet the numbers are better because when you come alive, man, the next step is to thrive, right? Like Sean and Crystal are speaking at something called Thrive next month, and I'm going up there to Utah to listen to them. It's come alive and thrive, baby. And that is what we're showing people, right, how to do. But the bottom line is we have to keep it so simple. You know, if we don't try to, and that's where I never talked about the business. Let me get this out real quick. This is important. I'm so glad that, because you and I talked about this, but I want to, it's one of the great keys to my early success was never bait and switch. Never bait and switch. Sing it, man. Sing it. Never bait and switch. And because I went to that barbecue and they're selling me soap, I'm like, what gives here? It was so weird. It was so awkward. It was so yucky that it left a really bad taste in my mouth about that industry. Well, it didn't have to ever be that way. And so my first year, I had a little office and I learned how to do a little tiny PowerPoint presentation, and I showed them what a 9-day was. I told my story. And by then I had a couple people and a couple doctors in Redlands, California on board, and they were sending their patients. And one of the doctors grabbed me and he said, don't say anything about the money opportunity ever. If I send you my patients. I said, okay. And then I remember all these different camps and Isagenix, some seeps and talk about the business. I'm like, whoa. This doctor I have his trust. And so every Wednesday night for 1 year, I committed to doing a little 25-minute presentation about the 9-day. And basically there's all these cool things you can talk about, right? I mean, you can get sideways real quick, but basically it goes in here. The 11-day protocol goes in here. If we can just remember that it goes in here, and that's our coaching, and put them in the group, and they call it, where's the bone broth go? The shake, the bacon. You know, it just keep it so simple as far as that part of it goes, right? We got to keep that coaching part. We can't confuse that part of it, right, Bob? So I think that as we really dive into the simplicity, so I only talk about the product. That's all. Testimonies about the product, 25 minutes, we're done. And I'd say, okay, everybody. And it was so cool. I'm still such a clipboard person. God, I have so many clipboards. And I would say, okay, like I said, and instead of saying at the end of my little meetings, and they started to grow from, 7, 8, 10, 20, 30 people would start coming. And I'd say, okay, everybody, thank you so much for coming. Here's how to get your 9-day ordered. Everyone's getting a clipboard, because if you're already in, I know you thought about who should have been here. We'll be here next Wednesday. Thank you, everybody. And we would clap and all that. And then I would, for 20 minutes, and I would say, real quick, everybody, before you leave, in 10 minutes, we're going to have another meeting. It's totally different, but it's about money. It's about residual passive income and how you deserve some in your life and how you can get some. But if you're not comfortable talking about money, do not come, because I was so anti bait and switch that it made my skin crawl. So I would actually close the meeting, zen the office, reopen the door, and I would almost always have more people for that next meeting, because I was just teaching the 9th wonder of the world, the geometric progression of numbers, and how Tony and Randy Escobar are in a world book of Guinness somewhere for the fastest to $1 million, I think, in any company out there. Like, it's crazy how fast it all happened, right? So what I get excited about is that was never a bait and switch. It's all product. And the people that woke up, and back then it was shot out of a cannon. Now it's come alive. If somebody comes alive, you guys, man, they are ready for the Matrix conversation. You've all watched the Matrix, all 3 Matrixes, right? And the agent says, he goes, can you smell that, Morpheus? That's the smell of inevitability. And so the inevitability talk is, once people come alive, there has to be an inevitability talk. And that is, dude, when people start asking you what you're doing, I think I should tell you what to say. Everybody's going to be a little different with this, but that's inevitability talk. And when that happens, there's a way they can get referral money. That's an easy way. There's different ways to approach this, you guys. You have to let people come alive before you would ever have a financial talk, in my opinion. And so that's the power of the ER shred. The numbers out of 10 that are going to come alive somewhere in their first 2 shreds in 22 days, I would say that I would give it 100%. if they follow the protocol. I mean, 5-day for me is like shit. I mean, I come alive, baby. But everybody is obviously a little different where they are in their life. I've been on Isagenix previously for 17 years when I did the shred the first time, and I still came out of a cannon like that. So, but I wanted to say this bait and switch idea is what is giving me the icky feel about network marketing, and how Sean has really helped me see that, gosh, it can be so pure. It can be so pure. It can be so simple. It doesn't have to be icky. It doesn't have to be awkward. It doesn't have to be gross. It can be as easy as helping people become better versions of themselves by becoming alive. And then there's an inevitability talk, and maybe we can do that at some other point, because that's the funnest talk there is. That is just fun.
Well, I think, and I know we're coming up on the hour, because we're going to have many. This is going to be great, because now we have a good foundation of like another 6 calls here at least. But
sure.
My excitement tonight is that Peter Greenlaw always used to tell me this. He said, my whole goal is that if I can impact one person's life in my talk, then I've made a difference. And that's what he thrived on. That was his passion. That was his purpose. If I can impact one person. So for you, Lenny, tonight, you impacted, you literally, well, you've impacted everybody. You had a huge impact on Jason Young, so much that he wanted to just jump right in and share his enthusiasm.
Everybody.
I know that anybody who's on this call, I hope you're as excited as Jason is, but then let's bottle that enthusiasm and let's get focused effort in terms of how are you going to go forward and how are you going to share. Yes, if you've been in the business a long time and you have a downline, penny Epps and absolute, and we'll do a call on that. But the most important thing right now is share your enthusiasm for what the ER Shred has done for you. You were the hero for yourself, and now you're becoming the superhero because you're helping other people become heroes, regaining control of their health. And I know this much: if you're an ER Shred warrior, you're heart-centered, you're authentic, and you're empowered. And that is obviously amazing. But the next level to that is if we can show you how you can get your products paid for and in the process become financially independent. In other words, it is unlimited income. In a capitalistic society that we live in, money can be used for good things. Money is, Lenny pointed out earlier, and that we all agree on this, is just energy. It's just a thing. But we can put it towards good uses. But here's what money means. Money is freedom. Money is power of choice. And in order for you to get what you want and to make an impact in this world, you can't do it being broke or just getting by. We want people who are ER Shred superheroes to be able to give back in their community. Maybe it's putting their kids through school. Maybe it's scholarshiping a child in your community. Maybe it's being charitable or being philanthropic. That takes money, but that's the foundation. And that's when I look at what's possible. Sean ran the tracks. He followed his mom and dad's lead. Sean has said, yeah, I retired at the age of 30, but it was the success of his effort with communicating the power of the 9-day that allowed him to have a money foundation, that he had the millionaire mindset, that he was allowed to basically branch out and do other things. But it was Isagenix that made him. It was the 9-day kid. It was transforming lives. That's all we have with the ER Shred. So when you go to bed tonight, think about what Lenny said. Maybe go on and try to find that compensation video, or if you have questions, reach out to us. But that's key. If I can show you the money and you have been, you're inspired because of how you feel, and you're changed, you've been shot out of a cannon, we can take this to a whole nother level, guys. And that's really all we want. We want people to eat for free. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't take much for that to happen. But if everybody was eating for free within this business model, that's where the unlimited income comes in. There is no limit. Lenny, you got any final thoughts?
Gosh, this has been some good stuff tonight, everybody. I'm so proud. Can I give some homework maybe? Like, yeah. If people want to take this to the next level, their ability to really see into the future and take the ER Shred and run with it and bless a lot of people. I think what I would recommend, first of all, is if you haven't been on the Come Alive call in a while, message Sean or whoever takes those messages, maybe me or somebody, and say, hey, because our story is constantly evolving. Our story, our story is rewriting. It's constantly evolving. It's constantly getting better. And so I think we should have a workshop too at some point, Bob, on how to powerfully tell like a short story, because we love the long stories here. And then also ask Jesse to get on that and tell that bigger story, because the more we tell our truth, the more we become free. And that is so beautiful. And the more we're heard in this community, the more we feel understood, the more, it's just such a beautiful thing, you know? And so that's super. I just wanted to say that about, as far as sign up to do it again, do your story again. I like the update. I like those updates and make them powerful. What happened since last time? You know, why do you love the ER shred? You know, make sure you're crisp on this and you can deliver that story. You guys know what happened to you, right? As far as that goes. So both of those would be awesome, I would say. Also volunteer to be asked the 5 questions from Crystal right away, and do that, because man, Crystal just is such a great listener. And then I would also, and I don't know where we can do this, Bob, but there is a document where you take a calendar that has 31 days. And this is what I want everybody to do before next time. And that is, I want you to take a penny and double it every day on the calendar. So you're going to take basically just a calendar, a normal calendar, and it's going to have 31 days, right? And then you're going to take a penny and then double it. So it's 2 pennies. That's a whopper. And then you're going to double it and it's 4 pennies. Woohoo. And then you're going to double it and it's 8 pennies. And I just want you to do that in your own handwriting with your own calculator, not on some kind of fancy machine, and see if you would rather have Sean and Crystal give you $1 million cash, or you guys build this organization and see how much money that could be on day 31, until you understand that and see that the geometric progression numbers is made manifest inside the Isagenix comp plan. It's the 9th wonder of the world. And I know we're learning how to talk about it in a whole different way, but this is after people have come alive and they want it. Don't have anybody doing that until that, because until you have that night where you don't sleep, you don't get it. You don't get it yet. And remember, the only thing that's stopping us is fear. And one of the best ways to overcome fear is knowledge. Knowledge conquers fear. Knowledge conquers fear. And we have knowledge here. Now we have so much knowledge around the physical body, what to put in it and fuel us. We've not knowledge. And once you know the comp plan and how it's never wrong. It never is wrong. It's always scientifically, mathematically perfect. Every time for 18 years.
So the neat thing, what you just mentioned about the penny a day example,
yeah,
that's pretty cool. Do you want $1 million, or do you rather have a penny a day doubling for 31
And don't tell
days?
the answer. And don't tell
I'm
the
not
answer.
going to tell you the answer. You got to go figure it out. But
There you
what
go.
that outlines for you is the power of compounding. They say that's one of the miracles of the world of finance is
The
compounding.
9th wonder of the world.
And
we
if
have
you
it.
understand that we have compounding with this business model, and you understand that you also have the leverage, which we're talking with Ken a little bit earlier about the fact, or Jason, I'm sorry, that you have the one leg already built for you. So, and he's only basically having to build a 300 leg. He's in a beautiful position. That is leverage. So that's the key. This business model offers you both, but definitely do the penny a day for 31 days, or do you want $1 million up front? That's the question. Decide for yourself, do the exercise, but then, I don't know if the comp video is still available.
Yeah,
or not.
it is. In Isagenix.com. I mean, there's several, and especially on the YouTube channel, they're all over the place. I mean, I did one years ago. Like, there's a lot of them out there, right? And so, but what the goal should be for everybody, if they're serious about this, is you should all be able to take on a piece of paper, and you should be able to explain it. Just the geometric, none of the bonuses. Those are all awesome, but the core basis of a cycle and what that means. And I'm telling you, on the next time, Bob, I want to get into some of the math about what a cycle is worth in the real world. If you could have an investment yielding $54 every week to you, just every week, a cycle, that would require $93,000 in a bank somewhere earning about 6%. And so every time you get 2 cycles, that's oh my God, 7 cycles, 8 cycles. No, the legacy we get to leave and what's happening here. I want to get into that. That's like deeper. But for people that are really ready to do this, man, this is so exciting that we get a chance, Bob, with Sean and Jesse and Crystal and Susan and Heather and everybody. We get a chance to recreate how this is all done, you know, and take all the weirdness out of it. And that, I think that's exactly what's happening here. So I'm so grateful you asked me to be on today, Bob. Thank you so much. And I love how you
do it again.
You're always thinking about how to help us get aha moments, you know, and you know, you live for that as well. So I think it's amazing.
No, it's all about the aha moments. Lenny, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. There's a reason why you're the spirit of ER Shred, and we will do this again soon. And guys, I want this call to grow because I want people literally on their edge of their seats wanting to hear about the power of this business model, because this will set you free. And we've got the tools to do it. Guys, have a wonderful night. Thank you all, and we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you, Lenny.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Good night, all. Thank you, Lenny.
Good
Thank you,
night.
Bob.
Good night, everyone.
Amazing call. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night. Can't wait for
Good
that.
night.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.